Imagine if you could control your mind so it always stays calm, strong, and clear, no matter what. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Keep listening to this story until the end, and you'll learn a powerful lesson. This is a story about a king, 4 wild horses, and a wise trainer. It's a story full of secrets that can help us in life. Once upon a time, there was a great king who ruled a vast kingdom. He had wealth, fame, and so much power. But the one thing that made him happiest was his beautiful palace, and especially his horses. His heart filled with joy every time he saw them. Among all his horses, there were 4 special ones. These 4 were wild, strong, and spirited. They were not ordinary horses. They were full of energy, like the wind rushing through the mountains. But they were also difficult to handle. The king wanted nothing more than to ride these special horses himself. He dreamed of galloping across fields with them. But whenever a trainer tried to tame these horses, it ended in disaster. The horses would buck, jump, and throw every trainer to the ground. People were afraid to even go near them. The king watched each failed attempt with sadness. He cared deeply for his horses and didn't want them to be scared or hurt, yet he also wanted them to be trained. One day, after many unsuccessful tries, the king made an announcement. "I will give a reward of 100,000 gold coins to anyone who can train my 4 wild horses without hurting them," he declared. This reward was so huge that trainers from far and wide came to the palace. Each trainer thought they could succeed. But one by one, they all failed. Some got thrown off within seconds. Some even got injured. The king began to lose hope. Then one day, a young, calm man arrived at the palace. He was a trainer, but there was something different about him. He seemed wise and peaceful. He didn't boast about his skills. He just looked at the king with gentle eyes and said, "Your Majesty, I believe I can train your horses, but I have 2 requests." The king was curious. No one else had asked for any special conditions. "Tell me your requests," the king replied. The young man said, "My first request is that I need 1 full year to train these horses. And my second request is that I need a big open space with high walls around it. No one should enter this space except me and the horses. I will feed them, care for them, and stay with them day and night." The king was surprised. A whole year sounded like a long time, but he had tried everything else. The king thought about it and finally agreed. "All right, I will give you what you ask for. You may start tomorrow," he said. The next morning, the trainer arrived at the open space, a large field surrounded by high walls. The 4 wild horses were led inside, and they ran freely, kicking up dust with every powerful step. They were wild and free, and they loved it. The trainer watched them from a distance, his heart calm and steady. He didn't rush towards them. He simply sat down and watched. After a while, he began running along the walls, moving gently and calmly. He didn't get close to the horses yet. He just let them see him moving around in a peaceful way. When he was done running, he sat down again, then pulled out some food and water for the horses. He placed it gently in front of them and stepped back. The horses hesitated at first, but eventually they came forward and began eating. They looked at him with curious eyes, but he didn't try to touch them. He simply let them eat in peace. Every day, the trainer repeated this. He would run along the wall, let the horses see him, give them food, and sit quietly as they ate. Day after day, the horses began to feel calm around him. He wasn't like the others. He wasn't there to force them. He was there to care for them. As the days turned into weeks, the horses started feeling safe with the trainer. They watched him move around calmly and began to trust him little by little. 6 months passed like this. The horses no longer saw him as a stranger. They saw him as part of their world. One evening, the king decided to visit the open field to see if there had been any progress. As he peeked through the gates, he was amazed by what he saw. The trainer was running, and right behind him, the 4 wild horses were following him, not because he forced them, but because they wanted to. They trotted behind him happily, like loyal friends. The king's heart filled with hope. He saw that something magical was happening. Finally, a year passed. The trainer sent a message to the king. "Your Majesty, the horses are ready," it read. The king rushed to the field, eager to see the result. When he arrived, the trainer gently mounted each horse one by one. The horses were calm, steady, and obedient. They moved with him as if they were one. The king was filled with joy. He had never seen his horses so peaceful, so willing to be ridden. He turned to the trainer with gratitude and asked, "How did you do it? What's your secret?" The trainer smiled and replied, "I didn't use force. Instead, I gained their trust. I became their friend and earned their respect. I let them feel safe and free. Over time, they started following me on their own." The king rewarded the trainer with the promised gold coins and also gave him a permanent position to take care of his horses. Now, my friends, let's think about this story. Just like those 4 wild horses, we all have feelings that can be hard to control. These are worry, anger, pride, and greed. These emotions can pull us in different directions and make it hard to stay calm. But we can learn to control them, just like the trainer controlled the horses. When you feel worry, remind yourself that worrying too much won't change anything. Instead, take a deep breath and focus on finding a solution. This way, you won't let worry control you. When you feel angry, remember that anger is like fire. It can burn you if you're not careful. Instead of letting anger take over, take a moment to calm down. Think about what you want to say, then speak calmly. This will help you stay in control of your actions. Pride is another strong feeling. It's good to be proud of yourself, but when pride turns into, "I'm better than everyone else," it becomes a problem. Remember, true strength comes from kindness and respect for others. And lastly, when you feel greed, think about what you truly need. Wanting good things is fine, but being greedy can make you feel unhappy and restless. Learn to be happy with what you have. This story teaches us that patience and kindness can help us control our emotions. Just like the trainer, we need to be gentle and understanding with ourselves. Each day, practice calming your mind and guiding your emotions. It might take time, but with patience, you can keep your wild horses under control. This way, you can live a peaceful and happy life.